So if you remember at the end of 2014, October 10th, 10/10, ironically, I had a send-off game in Hartford with US Soccer. Sunil Gulati, I'm really, really grateful to him. They got a plane for me and 15 family members, flew us all from LA to Hartford for the game. I wasn't part of the camp. But they flew me in to allow me to have a send-off game in Hartford. And when I got there, Jürgen and I sat in a bar.
Wow. I didn't even know this. Thank you for the question.
We sat in a bar. We just talked because it was awkward, right? He never would have wanted me to be called in there, right? And have that. The interesting part was he came and I was there first and he came and sat down and he had a backpack with him. And I was like, this is kind of weird. Anyway, we just talked and, we said our piece and I didn't agree. And, he thought he was doing what was best for the team and whatever. And then he said at one point, this was really interesting. He's like, and I journaled everything that happened during all of this time. And I kept notes on everything that happened and I'm happy to show you. And I was like, It was really interesting that and the takeaway was he knew what he was doing. It's very calculated, and he was making sure he took notes because he either had to justify it to somebody or he felt like you only take notes with things or keep recordings of things when you're kind of scared about what the outcome could be. So it was interesting, but I give him credit for sitting down. He also, apologized for his son being obnoxious during that time. And then look, my choices were on the field when I got subbed off. I think it was the 40th minute or so. I was still upset with him. I still, I didn't want to give him any time, but you also don't want to make a bigger deal out of it. And so we had one final handshake and that was that.
All I would say to the general public is in a decision where a legendary player who still has so much to offer that team going into a major tournament could never, ever be making a decision, quote him, that's best for the team without asking the senior players on that team for their opinion. So you can read between the lines, but you won't have to. The senior players on that team were never asked for their opinion. So it's impossible as a manager to make a decision that's best for the team without gaining that knowledge before the decision.
So I have to ask the obvious follow-up here, otherwise I'm bad at my job. So Tim, you and Jürgen Klinsmann have not had a conversation since he left the national team about that period in time.
I don't need a conversation with him. There's nothing to bury. Sometimes hatchets need to stay where they are.